right, folks, this is Larry Kirshner back for another trip down memory lane. And I just wanted to say that when you watch these videos, you have to remember these were filmed back in 1997, 98, 99, and these things kept getting made in the early 2000s. You have to remember the significance of these videos. Back then, there was no internet. There was no way to share these videos other than me making these VHS tapes. And they were very significant because I felt it was very important that haunted houses should learn from each other. So I was the very first person ever to get people to share footage of their haunted houses, send it to me in the mail, and I would get these VHS tapes. And so when I would sit down to edit these, I never knew from one video to the next how many or what haunts would be on the videos. So at first it was just Hauntworld the Movie Part 1 and then Part 2, and I would sell these at Transworld and people would just go crazy for them. Next thing you know, I'm getting piles and piles and piles of VHS tapes in the mail. So that's why there's 19 of these, just so you know. Because so many haunts wanted to start sharing their attractions with other haunts. Prior to that, if you knew that a haunt owner was standing in your queue line, you would throw them out. Nobody shared, nobody gave tours of their haunts, nothing. So this was groundbreaking, these VHSs. So here we go with Hauntworld the Movie Part 2. Now, what are you going to see in this video? You're not going to believe this. You're going to see Knott's Scary Farm from 1998. That's right. I was able to get Knott's Scary Farm to allow me to go through their haunts with a camera and a light. And you're going to see Knott's Scary Farm from 1998. You're also going to see my buddy, Rich Hanf. And he's going to interview Lloyd Kaufman from Trauma Pictures. You know, all those weird movies that they used to make. So Rich Hanf is right in here, and he's going to interview Lloyd Kaufman. He also interviews Tony Timpone, and you'll also see him interacting with Ed Gannon and John Denley. Now, in later versions of Hauntworld movies, you're going to see even crazier interviews. I mean, I literally interviewed Robert Englund in one of these videos, the guys from Blair Witch Project. I mean, you name it, you're going to start seeing them as we go down the line. Also, you're going to see some clips of the Darkness Haunted House, My Haunt from 1998. Phil Morris, the legendary Phil Morris, does an interview on what he thinks a great haunted house should be. You're also going to see Ben Armstrong and Billy Messina from Netherworld. This was the first time they had ever shared any footage of their haunted house. I guess these guys are in their late 20s at this point. It's like literally 1998. And you know what? My favorite person in the whole world for these videos was Dr. Lady. And he's going to be on the videos. And as the videos go along, you're going to see more and more and more funny stuff from Dr. Lady. Lastly, when you get to the end, you'll notice a tribute to my cousin Danny Bennett, who helped me start Hauntworld.com. And oddly enough, in all the pictures that Danny's in, my mom's in, who recently passed away. My mother helped me build my haunted house. And I did not know that these photos were on the back end of this Hauntworld video. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this tribute was to Danny. And then my mom's in all the pictures with my cousin. I found that really strange. And they're both gone. And they're missed. And when you watch these videos all the way back to 1998 with Hauntworld the Movie Part 2, you have to remember of all the people that are no longer with us. And you'll see in another edition, you'll see Lance Pope, who is also no longer with us. There's a lot of haunters that you'll see across these 19 movies as you flash back, several decades that are gone. And they are definitely missed. Now, for Hauntworld the Movie, Part 2, here we go.
caught me reading my favorite magazine, Fry Times. Checking up on a new spell published by my good friend, Dr. Lady. Now, get ready to explore the haunted world with Hauntworld The Movie Part 2. But before we can do that, we've got to check in at Hauntworld Central with Larry Kirshner. Take it away, Larry.
We're going to do things a little bit different than we did the first time. When we go into somebody's haunted house, when we take a look at what they've done with their attraction, we're going to actually interview the haunters. We're going to ask them some of their top secrets, like their best ways of marketing their attraction, their best techniques for scares and things like this before we go into their attraction, so we'll know a little bit more about them, their personality, their tactics, and things like this.
Hey, sorry to interrupt again, but did you happen to notice the younger version of me is literally wearing practically the same outfit from 1998? I just had to jump in and say that because I didn't watch the movie before I put this on. I just thought that was just a little strange. All right, now back to the movie.
So in this video, we're actually going to take a look at a lot of awesome haunted houses, such as Knott's Berry Farm, Terror on the Wharf, Ghostly Manor, Silo X, The Haunted Hotel, The Darkness in Tampa Bay. The list goes on and on and on. We're also going to have interviews with John Burton and the legendary Bill Morris. We're also going to check in with Dr. Lady, Castle Blood, Brainstorm Studios, and much, much more. Now, before we go on any further, I want to give you a little update as to where Hauntworld is right now, hauntworld.com. As you see, we got the website pulled up here. We've added a couple things, such as the Hauntworld mailing list. And what this is all about is you come into Hauntworld, hit mailing list, you fill out all the information, you instantly get connected with about 270 or 280 other haunted house operators, enthusiasts, and just people that want to get in the industry. And what it does is you send one email to one person, or you respond to one email, it goes to the whole entire list, 270 people. So if you have a question, ask it one time, 270 people can see it, can respond to you either privately or to the whole list. And you start a thread and all kinds of conversation goes from there. We've also improved the way that we update haunted houses on Hauntworld. So if you had a problem last year, we apologize for that, but now you can come into Hauntworld and update your information instantly. Click in the haunted house section. You'll find haunted houses listed state by state by state. It's very important that you get on Hauntworld, whether or not you're connected to the internet or not. Get your information on Hauntworld. It's very important. We expect about 2 or 3 million hits next October. Another thing that we've added to Hauntworld is the calendar of events section. Basically, what this is all about is we have a list. Everything from the Chiller Theater to the Transworld Show to Fangoria shows, anything and everything that's a haunted event is listed by month and date and time, phone numbers, how to get in touch with them, so you can get connected with all the haunted events around the world. Another thing that we've added, or we're about to add, which by the time you see this video is probably already updated, is we're going to have all kinds of new graphics courtesy of Brainstorm Studios. We have tons and tons and tons of new links. Links to companies that'll sell you foam, prosthetic stuff, stuff from Hollywood, all kinds of new black plastic that's actually fire retardant. We have a link to a company that sells that. Tons and tons of new links in the links section. Another thing that we're going to have is a sponsorship program. That's right, Hauntworld has got a sponsorship program. What you got to do is give us a call or email us through Hauntworld, and we'll get you all the information about our sponsorship program. Now, let's go back to Dr. Frightener, because I'm sure he's got all kinds of cool things that he wants to tell you about.
Not done yet. Now that we're back, let's take a look at one of the biggest haunted attractions in the entire universe. It's called Knott's Scary Farm. Dr. Frightener, your good old buddy, has been there, and I highly recommend taking a trip to Knott's Berry Farm. It'd be the experience of your lifetime. Oh, I see you're back from Knott's Scary Farm out there in Los Angeles, California. Let me tell you, what you saw was only a mere taste of what they have to offer. It is by far the best and biggest haunted attraction I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I've been alive thousands of years. Now, you can find them on Hauntworld.com in the links section. Now, how about one of the oldest haunted house books that has just been re-updated by Phil Morris and Dennis Phillips, How to Operate a Financially Successful Haunted House. We're going to check in with Phil Morris, the president of Morris Costumes, the biggest distribution company in the entire haunted industry, and the original Ghost Master. So let's see what Phil Morris has to say about the haunted attraction industry.
You know, I've spent my life around the haunted house industry. Haunted houses, when I was a child, why, were merely but some house, an old abandoned house out into a field somewhere that was about ready to fall down, and that was the haunted house. Maybe some person hid behind a tree and jumped out and said boo. But haunted houses today have changed. The entire haunted house industry has changed. As a matter of fact, the products that are available for haunted houses today are the same products or similar to the products that motion picture industry, the motion picture studios spent thousands and thousands of dollars to produce just a few years back. And today they're available at very reasonable prices and available just across the shelf for you and I to create our own haunted house. I first started in the haunted house business, or in the haunted attraction business, performing ghost shows or horror shows in motion picture theaters all over North America. And then I did my own television program for many years throughout the South as Dr. Evil and his haunted house. Well, today, haunted houses have changed enormously. There are several things that we've become very sophisticated with a haunted house, because the haunted house that you see today is the haunted house that was in everyone's imagination and was not even possible but a few years ago when we started producing all of these elaborate products that are now used in haunted houses. Keep in mind when creating your haunted house that it's not just a matter of having a series of products, a series of stagnant objects sitting around that will scare people. You want to create entertainment. You want to create things that are going to happen as a surprise. Otherwise, when you walk out of a haunted house, you want to feel that you were not only scared, but that you were entertained. And that customer needs to walk away and find other people and tell them about your haunted house, because that's how your business is going to grow. With the word of mouth is that we want to go back and see that attraction again. And that will only happen not only if you scare your customers, but also if you entertain them. Large animated props are very expensive, but in the long run, they're really not. Take into consideration that not only does that create an atmosphere and a form of entertainment, but it's also going to help you replace an actor. And using live actors in a haunted house is very expensive. Now, you need a mix between the live actor and the animation and the things that will happen continuously, because once you put in one of these large animated props, you don't have to feed them, you don't have to pay their Social Security tax and all the other expenses that you're going to have with an actor. But I'm not saying that you don't need actors, but I think that you need a blend between the number of actors that you have and the number of animated props that you have. Some 25 years ago, I determined that instructions were needed in putting together a haunted house. And at that time, I wrote this book entitled How to Operate a Financially Successful Haunted House. Well, it's really become the Bible of the haunted house industry, and over the years, we've updated it. And there are many, many things in this book, from room designs and how to get free advertising, clip arts, and many, many other things. And I know that you'll enjoy this book. It's entitled How to Operate a Financially Successful Haunted House. If you're going to go into the haunted house business, I would suggest that you gather together as much information as you possibly can. First of all, spend the season going around and visiting other haunted houses. You'll learn what to do, but more important, you'll learn what not to do. Another source of entertainment, of course, are the books and the videotapes that are available on the market today. And there are all types of videotapes and publications that will be helpful to you and give you ideas. Some of the ideas may be very good, some of them may be very simple. You can say, well, why didn't I think of that? But the important thing is that you must learn and plan what you're going to do. And to do that, use other people's experiences to do so. Think back 5 or 10 years ago and how the haunted house industry was at that time and what's happening today. There are more and more commercial haunted houses being built and being operated not only in the United States and North America, but all over the world. South America and in Europe and in Asia. The haunted house industry is in its infancy and is really going to grow in the next few years, so keep your eye on it. 3 important things that everyone should look for in designing a haunted house. First of all, keep in mind how the outside of the haunted house looks. The outside is as important as the inside. When you enter the haunted house, before you enter it, has it created that atmosphere that you want to create before you pass through those portals into the doors and into the inner sanctum of the haunted house? That's number 1. Number 2, I think it's very, very important that you look at a haunted house as entertainment. Again, your patrons should not only be scared to death, but they should be entertained and come away with laughing and having a good time. And that's very, very, very important. Finally, the haunted house of 20 years ago was just a dark chasm that people would walk into and they'd hear these sounds and people would jump out at them. And it wasn't really an experience. But it's very important that you create an atmosphere inside your haunted house. And that atmosphere must change from room to whatever effect that you're trying to create in those rooms. And that's very, very important that you create a real atmosphere. So when they come out of the haunted house, they didn't just walk through a dark cavern of some type. They came out and they saw things that they thought they would never see outside of a motion picture studio. And that's those 3 things I think are the most important things in designing and creating your haunted house. Well, thank you so much for taking this time to visit with us. And I hope that while you're here, you'll look around the booth a little bit and see all these Halloween products that are available. And anytime that we can be of help to you, or anytime I can be of help to you, don't hesitate to either drop me a line or to call me on the phone. And I'll be happy to talk to you about the haunted house industry and give you any tips that I know about. So thanks so much, and we'll see you in a haunted house. Pleasant dreams.
Hi, I'm John Burton of Theatrical Terror. Some of the haunts that we've worked on is Brutal Planet, Industrial Nightmare, Silo X Haunted Houses, and Science Affair with Joe Jensen. I think looking into the new millennium, some of the things that the industry needs to do in a lot of the haunts is add a little bit more sophistication to their decorations and the way they present their show, because of the sophistication that has been added to other mediums of entertainment like movies, even comic books, television. There's a lot more sophistication in those today compared to 25 years ago or 30 years ago when the haunted industry really got started. There is a lot of haunts out there that are doing some boo type scares in your face, but adding a little bit of realism and sophistication to those can take us into the new millennium as far as a little bit better entertainment as well as scares. In almost any maze design, when I'm designing a project, there's 4 things that I basically look at. First of all, the theme of the event, because almost every haunted house has their own theme, and most of them can be very unique. The second thing would be realism. how real can we make each situation in the haunted house? Now, a lot of people say, well, my event is entitled Nightmares. How real can that be? So when I speak of realism, I'm also talking of altered realities. If that situation is happening, make it as real as possible so the scare can be a lot more intense. Another thing that you got to look at is safety when you're designing a haunted house. We've got a moral obligation to make it as safe as possible when people are walking through it. Let the danger of the event just be in the scares and things like that. When creating a scare in a haunted house, is basically three types of scare tactics I look at. That's an invisible scare, visible scare, and an invisible visible scare. And real basically, an invisible scare is very obviously something that the customer doesn't see coming at them. And then a visible scare is something that's right there in front of them that they see, can build up that anticipation of that scare. A lot of times that scare still works. And an invisible visible scare is something that's right in front of them that they don't see, that's either hidden in the decorations. One room that I created and started doing almost 20 years ago was what I call the wall of faces. And it's just simply a bunch of faces all over the wall in a black room that's fluorescent lit. And one of those faces is on a person all dressed in black. So they look like part of the wall in this decoration of faces coming out at the people, not saying a word, just taking 2 or 3 steps out. It works 99% of the time. So the invisible, visible scare, very simple, but yet can look very technical in sometimes. I think some of the elements that people are missing when they design or build their haunted attraction is number one, adding realism. If you're doing a bedroom, make the bedroom look real. Don't just throw a bed in there, a window, and some kind of poster. You got to figure out several things before you do that bedroom. Number one, what is the age of the person that lives in that bedroom? Is it a male? Is it a female? Is it a child? Is it mom and dad? What year is this room being presented in? When you do that room, add every element of a real bedroom: trash can, dirty clothes hamper, a bed, dressers, closet, windows, and all the little things that a child or an adult would have in there, all the little knickknacks or toys and that kind of thing. When you add that realism to an event, the scare can be much more intense because people are looking at it as a real situation and not just a fake situation inside of a haunted house. Don't do black walls in a bedroom scene. So I think that's one of the most important things that a lot of events are missing, is the realism needed to make the scares much more intense.
Now, let's go over to Larry Kirshner with the horror box, as people have written in their questions as they want to know how to do certain things. Larry's going to try to answer them, and if he can't answer them, then he's going to go through the Hauntworld website and find someone that can. So, over to you, Larry.
Okay, one of the new sections here on Hauntworld the Movie, Part 2 and 3, and maybe even in the future past that, depends on if you, the haunter, likes the segment, is the horror box. And that's where we've asked people on the internet to email us or post questions that they'd like to see answered by us here at Halloween Productions. The first question is, how do I prove to an investor a haunted house can be profitable? And this is from Jerry at Spooky Effects. Well, Jerry, I've got a few answers to that. First, you've got to plan way ahead of time if you want to do a haunted house. Haunted houses being built at the last minute or on the fly are a thing of the past. Haunted houses have really come into their own. So that means if you're actually planning this, you might want to take your investor to a haunted house. Obviously, take him on a Saturday night when the lines are long, so you can give the investor an idea of what a haunted house is, what it's all about, and that investor will obviously get more enthusiastic about the project once he's been around it and he's been able to experience it. And that's one of the ways that you can prove to an investor a haunted house can make money. Another way is obviously to create a business plan. And what I always try to do is give somebody the best worst case scenario. Like, well, if we spend X amount of dollars on advertising or whatever, and you obviously know the things it's going to take to get that haunted house open, because you can't just walk up to an investor and say, I want to build a haunted house. You've got to know exactly what it's going to take from, obviously if the building has sprinkler systems, then obviously that's not a factor. But like electric, the props, you got to have a theme. How much is it going to cost to build that? You have to have all these things, like down to the nickel, like I'm going to need this many radios and everything like this, so you actually have an idea, a firm grasp on how much it's going to cost. So what I try to do is take the best worst case scenario, as I said before. we're going to do, with this amount of advertising in this location, we're probably going to do 25,000 people. At $10 a person, that's $250,000. So best worst case scenario, we're going to make $250,000. So you need to create your budget that you want to at least break even the first year. When you're paying your actors, your advertising, and everything it's going to cost you to get in business, at least we're going to break even. Now, if we do better than our worst, best case scenario, then you're actually going to turn a profit the first year. Another way to, one of the best ways to get in the haunted house business, though, is to find a partner that already has a building. So you can go into 50-50 partnership with him, and then usually if it's his building, then he'd be more than willing to put the leasehold improvements into the building since he's going to own the building, whether the haunted house is going to fly or not. So hopefully those answers to that question will help you somewhat. The next question is, how do I raise money for future improvements from Ben in Utah? Well, let me tell you a secret that a lot of haunted houses probably may or may not be using. Instead of paying for all of your your bills with checks and things like this, get an American Express card. Okay, believe it or not, this is the best way. Put everything on your American Express card. And slowly but surely you'll build up more and more and more credit. And then you'll get other companies that want to give you credit cards. And next thing you know, your American Express card, you can charge up to $75,000 on it because you're always paying your bills at the end of the month on your American Express card. And the whole entire world that has access to your credit knows that you pay your bills on time, and everybody wants to give you a credit card. Believe it or not, you could probably get up to $100,000 or $200,000 in credit by using credit cards. And another way that you can raise money for future improvements, and this is kind of not really raise money, but at the end of the season know exactly what you want to do with your attraction. Instead of waiting until the following year, now this is to the people that obviously have permanent locations, go ahead and improve your attraction at the end of the, when the season's over, like in January, December, instead of waiting till the next year. This way, you have the money available to you right now. So you won't be, running around trying to find money, come summertime or whatever. You've already made your improvements. It's fresh in your mind exactly what you want to do, and you make those improvements right then and there with the money that's in hand at that time. And that's probably the best way of finding money to improve your attraction. Our next question comes from Leroy, and he wants to know what's the best way to make masks. Well, Leroy, I'll tell you, the best way to learn how to make masks is buy videos and books about mask making. And I will tell you that Denny Dam's Terror by Design, which is www.btprod.com, and Morris Costumes sell tons and tons of videos on how to make masks. Now, obviously, if you go to Hauntworld's link section, you'll find a website called Monster Makers, and they have all kinds of information about making masks. So the best way is buy videos or check out websites that have information about mask making. All right, Wayne Barneschi, I hope I pronounced the name right, he wants to know how to entertain people while they're in line. Wayne, I'll tell you, most people complain the most about waiting in long lines. One thing I will tell you is, if you can, try to use part of your haunted attraction space for a queue area, so that all the people standing in the street can't see, that you can, take that line down a little bit. I'll tell you, your attendance will go up probably 10 to 15% by taking some of the people off the street and putting them inside. And if you do put them inside, you can have all kinds of TV sets inside playing like horror clips of scary movies that are about to come out. A lot of these movie studios will give you the clips, and then you can edit a clip together. You can actually utilize the TV sets to sell advertising on it. You can play music over it or whatever. Obviously, other ways to entertain the crowd is run the chainsaw up and down the line. And this can be dangerous, if you leave the blade on. But take the blade off, obviously. But you can't have your actor, running, swinging the chainsaw around in the air, because he can't see people behind him, and somebody, he might hit somebody or whatever. But you got to be careful. You could run the chainsaw up and down the line once an hour. And this actually is a very entertaining way to keep people excited and enthused. Obviously, other ways is to put music out in the line and the crowds, magicians performing magic, We actually, this year, we had an animatronic band that we made, and it played songs and told jokes. There's all kinds of ways that you can entertain people online, but I understand exactly what you're talking about. You've got to keep those people entertained, because if they're waiting in the back of the line, they can become very, very frustrated, and then they start complaining. They want their money back. I sympathize with you. That's a problem all hunters from across the country have. Probably the best way, I'll tell you, if you really want to figure this out, is when you go to the Halloween show, the Transworld show, try to ask other haunters. Communicate through the websites. Ask other people what they're doing. But I would guarantee you that these are some of the best ways to entertain them. One other thing that we did, we got our hearse, and we drove up and down the lines. We threw all kinds of prizes at the crowd, and they're all screaming. They want T-shirts and things like this. Got everybody excited. So I hope that this helped you. The next question comes from Mike in Florida, and he wants to know the best ways to maintain animations. I guess he asked this question, considering that we build animatronics, we might know something about it. Well, actually, Jim the Reanimator Kelly is the animation expert around here. So I'm going to ask him to tell you the best ways to maintain your animatronics.
There. Hey, how's it going? You want to know how to maintenance animatronics? Well, the first thing I would suggest is how you mount your animatronic. First of all, what you need to do is you need to make sure it's mounted down very well. And make sure that it's far away enough from customers so that customers can't grab it or damage it or hit it or anything, because that'll damage your animatronic. Second thing is to make sure you use the right air pressure, or PSI. If your animatronic calls for 100 pounds of pressure, use 100 pounds of pressure. If it only asks for 30, use 30. And if you have 2 animatronics or 3 or whatever that use different air pressures, run the highest air pressure through your lines and then use regulators to regulate the air down to the amount of pressure you need for that animatronic. The next thing to worry about is water. Water and dirt are real bad for pistons and for valves themselves. Water can actually get in valves and make the electronics on the valves stop working, and they can also rust the cylinders of the pistons. And dirt can damage valves and pistons also. So you need to make sure, and the way you go about that is you need to get one of these. This is actually a combination of a water and a dirt filter. And what this will do is it'll basically collect the water and the dirt as it comes through your system. You need to mount these right before you get to your animatronics, and these will filter all that water out so it won't go into your animation. And you can also take these valves off and put this is an automatic valve, and this will automatically release the water out of here when it gets full, so you don't have to check on it every day or whatever. And then the last thing I would suggest is to use a surge protector on your animatronics. Animatronics use electronic components too, and a surge of electricity could ruin it. Another thing to watch out is static electricity. If you're going to handle any electronic parts of your animatronic, make sure you don't have static electricity on your hands, because you could erase the EEPROMs and stuff. And if you use all that information I just gave you, you shouldn't have any problems with your animatronics.
A lot of people have asked me over the years, how important are flyers and brochures and things like this? Actually, I don't believe in flyers. I think that flyers are too big. Stores won't put them on the counters. They take up too much space. I've always been an advocate of just coupons and trying to make a coupon look like a flyer. But what I've done is I've asked the experts at Brainstorm Studios to try to give you a little insight on how to create or why you should create a better flyer or brochure.
It used to be that haunted event advertising accurately depicted the relatively new product it represented. Low budget, low tech, down and dirty. The haunted house industry was in its infancy, and as with any new product, so was its advertising. Today, Halloween is all grown up. Today's consumer is surrounded with high-quality imagery and visual effects. From Hollywood movies to the video and computer gaming industry, music videos, sports, and commercials. Today's consumer absolutely demands to be wowed by the packaging on the products and entertainment they purchase.
Because most of the early haunts were run by charitable or nonprofit organizations, their promotions were generally limited to the resources they had on hand, which were usually crudely drawn flyers or zany promotional tactics. But because of low overhead, they were able to make these methods work. It all boils down to one basic fact, though. Low-budget, old-school haunted event advertising just doesn't generate the results today's haunters need to thrive.
Maintaining a competitive haunt in today's marketplace requires high-end effects, props, costumes, and scenery. These advancements in technology didn't come without a price, though, and the overhead required to operate an attraction has increased tremendously. Today's haunters need to draw much bigger numbers at a higher price. This is where your event's advertising is absolutely crucial. The key is to pull beyond the casual enthusiast into the mainstream of society, expanding your appeal to a much larger audience. Entice the people who would never consider going to a haunted house. You can have the best haunted house in the world, but if you don't get a very large segment of society to notice you, you'll never realize the full profit potential of your event.
When it comes to advertising, the old adage, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, holds significant importance. This is the first opportunity your potential customer has to form an opinion regarding the entertainment value of your event. If your advertising image is lacking, chances are they're going to assume the same of your show.
Another bonus to high-quality reality-based advertising is the psychological impact of eye-catching color imagery. We've experienced firsthand over and over the power of preconditioning customers with reality-based imagery. It builds a mystique for your event that will actually make the people anticipate the terror they will experience once they are inside. The imagination is a very powerful resource, and anything you can do to precondition your patrons before they even arrive at your event is a plus in both scares and profits.
Another one of the many benefits of high-profile art and graphics is positive public perception. To large corporate sponsors, this is like gold. The perception of quality and credibility generated by high-profile graphics are key in attracting bigger and more supportive sponsors. A sponsor sees your advertising materials as a vehicle to put his logo in front of as many people as possible. The fact that he thinks your advertising will attract attention is a great selling point regarding the value of what you have to offer that sponsor. Television, newspaper, and various other media outlets are also prone to pay way more attention to an event that looks big time rather than backyard. This attention could be crucial, resulting in priceless news spots, print articles, and other free forms of promotion. Think big. The bigger and better the hype surrounding your event, the more eager people are to satisfy their curiosities by purchasing a ticket. Develop a strong theme. Be creative, because a solid concept behind your event will make your advertising much more intriguing to potential customers.
Develop a character or monster to represent your event. This not only attracts attention, it personalizes your event.
Create a strong logo identity for the name of your attraction. Logos bring an identifiability to your event that allows you to change your advertising imagery from year to year while still maintaining a consistently recognizable identity.
Taglines. These can be very helpful in relaying the concept and story behind your event. They can also help strengthen the credibility of your attraction by emphasizing the positive press and reviews about your event or defining your position in the marketplace.
Locate your target audience. Selectively targeting your advertising can dramatically increase your results and decrease your out-of-pocket expense.
Visibility. Depending on the size of your market, methods can include mass distribution of posters and handbill type coupons, newspaper advertising, billboards, television and radio commercials.
Color flyers and posters. Color is much more effective in attracting attention and building your credibility with the consumer as well as corporate sponsors.
Keep your images fresh. Another common misconception is that once you have a well thought out and visually appealing advertising package, that it will be effective for the life of your event. Not true. Just as your event evolves, so must your marketing materials.
Any successful advertising endeavor should be capable of capturing the imagination and in turn creating a strong response at the gate. Put time and effort into making your event as impressive as possible, but do not neglect the advertising and marketing that's going to bring the crowds you need to make the event a success.
Basically, once you've made the commitment to put on a quality attraction, you've committed yourself to making every aspect of your attraction quality. If you don't, you're almost certainly doomed to fail. If you bought a $250,000 Lamborghini and put bad gas in it or didn't put oil in it, it's going to fail. And it's the same with marketing, especially when you have just 30 days. You've got to shoot them right between the eyes. The graphic images you present to the public are one of the first chances you have to attract customers. If they're inferior, your attraction may be written off in the consumer's mind. It's the old, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And you can't afford, you especially when you've made a big commitment on an attraction, you can't afford to not do every part of it right, or no matter if you did all the other categories perfectly, if just one element is missing, you've killed yourself. Now, if it's a small attraction, you haven't got a lot invested, it's not a big deal. But, man, if you put the bucks in, you got to make sure that you got your bases covered or you're in trouble.
We already knew Nightmare Forest was the best outdoor haunted attraction in the country, but our logo and artwork was not. After 6 years of using generic graphics, we searched for a new image that would give our company the professional look it deserved. We hired Brainstorm Studios, and our entire company's image had a complete makeover, from our billboards and posters to our newspaper ads and business cards. In 1998, we annihilated our competition. If you spend over $100,000 to produce your attraction, don't cheapen it with a low-quality artwork and logos. Hire a professional.
Well, I think that the thing that I thought was most valuable about having really nice artwork or very high-quality artwork was it made it so much easier to approach sponsors. And I think that the first year that I had the new style artwork, that my sponsor money was directly related to that. And it put a classy ticket in all my customers' hands. It cost me a little bit, but I think that overall we had more people that went away with a good impression, and they took that ticket home for a souvenir.
It's a choice, really. It has to be made, and I think that quite often people are going to look at this stuff and say, "Oh, that's going to cost so many thousands of dollars." But how much money can be lost by not getting quality to your product, which is basically a product?
Yeah.
When it comes down to showing it to the public, that is product. They come to see a great show, and they're not going to come. They're not going to come unless you have great marketing. I think that the money spent on advertising this past year, as far as the look of it, it's some of the best money spent, because people finally started to understand. We had put out the flyers that we got through you, and they get up at stores and different things like that. And I believe that is what brought in different companies that did come in with us. That McDonald's came to us, and we didn't go to them. They came to us. They came to our door and said, "We want to do an exchange with you." By having great advertising from the beginning and something that is quality, you have people coming to you, and that puts the ball in your court. And these flyers, I know that people were keeping them. People would hang on to these things, and then they're going to show someone else because it's cool. It's not run-of-the-mill, and they want to show their friends. And so you don't only get one person, you get 10, 20 of their friends. And quite often with the marketing, people are afraid to go with something that has this look of quality. And the reason, because I think that by not seeing themselves, they say, "Well, we're not one of the big guys. We're just a small haunted house. We're just a small haunted house." Until anyone decides to take that step and go forward, You're going to stay small.
We're back. Now, thank you, Larry. Now, let's go out to Tampa Bay, where the Darkness Haunted House exists and scares people from all over Tampa Bay area. You'll also get to check a glimpse of the biggest Halloween party in the entire world. It's called Guavaween. Here you go.
Hi, everybody. This is Mama Guava here in beautiful Ybor City in Tampa Bay at my party, my festival called Guavaween. It's been going on for 13 years.
Guavaween is a Halloween festival in Tampa Bay that somewhat resembles a macabre Mardi Gras. Halloween Productions Incorporated decided that this would be the perfect location for a real haunted house. So our designers went to work, and when they were finished, Tampa Bay had its first state-of-the-art themed haunted attraction called the Darkness Haunted House. Its very first year of operation, the Darkness was rated Tampa Bay's #1 haunted house.
Welcome to the Darkness Haunted House located in Tampa, Florida. Step this way for your worst nightmares.
As we quickly journey through the darkness, note the amount of detail put into every scene. From live actors to intense animatronics. In its very first year of operation, the Darkness was rated Tampa Bay's #1 haunted house. The entire focus is on giving the customer their money's worth. Halloween is now the second largest retail holiday, and the haunted house industry is the fastest growing industry of Halloween.
Don't ever go into the cemetery. The dead will rise this evening.
Some amusement parks are attracting crowds of 300,000 or more in as little as 15 days. So what does it take to be successful in this rapidly expanding industry? It takes experience. Experience in scares, in maze design, in animations, experience in operations, and experience in the marketing of the theme.
Sorry, I was reading one of the oldest books that explains how to do certain kinds of scenes, such as the beer in the refrigerator, where they tell the actor to grab the customer. They also have scenes like the guy's head in the middle of the table, and everybody spits on him as they walk by. Haunted houses have gone so much farther, thanks to companies like Phil Morris's. We have huge animatronics, highly detailed props and scenes. You haunters out there have spent thousands of dollars in time and effort creating rooms that are believable. You're giving the customer what they're paying for, a believable experience. We've got to throw out the old ideas and get in with the new. And that's why we need to go back out to Larry Kirshner, as he's got more horror box and more industry experts to help you get where you need to be.
Thanks, Dr. Frightener. We're back here at the Horror Box. Our next question comes from Mike in New Mexico, which actually is a suggestion. He made a suggestion based on our comments that we were going to start the Horror Box on the Hauntworld The Movie tape. And he wanted us to let us know that we should stick to the topics, such as lighting, sound, or whatever, rather than speculate on the future of the industry. Well, let me tell you, Mike, I disagree with you because in any industry, for that matter, every industry always has to look into the future to see where their industry is headed, such as like science. They're always looking 5 to 10 years down the road. The car industry, they have no choice but to look 5 or 10 years down the road. They have to start thinking about tomorrow, today. No industry can think, just sit here and say, oh, let's talk about lighting or fog or whatever today. Those are the people that actually are going to get left behind. If you want to get farther ahead in the industry, you have to understand where the industry is going. 5 years ago, you could go to the Transworld show and you couldn't find any prop that would cost you more than a couple $100. Today, who would have ever thought that you could go to the Halloween show, see huge, gigantic effects like black hole tunnels and animatronics that could cost you up to $20,000? Who would have ever thought that haunted houses could ever afford to buy a prop that cost $20,000? So where was the industry 5 years ago? It was black walls, butcher knives, the plastic masks and things like this. Today, the industry is high-tech, gigantic animatronics and detailed walls and sets and things like this. So if we're at that point now and we're looking at our industry right today and we're saying, wow, look how far we've come in just a few short years. Where do you think we're going to be 5 years from now? Will haunted houses be passé? Could this type of entertainment like wear off and just lose its effect? It will if you can't look 5 years down the road. How are we going to entertain people differently than we are today? We can't do the same thing for forever. We have to look into the future of the industry to see where we're going to go. And now, how do you do that? Well, you have to be on top of the issues. You have to really get involved in discussions like this. You have to go to shows. You have to talk to people, listen and learn. We have to listen and learn from amusement parks. You've got to go to as many as possible. There's all kinds of issues that are so relevant to this issue of looking into the future, and that's very important if you want to survive for the next 5 years. So I hope I've cleared that issue up for you a little bit, Mike. Our next question comes from Philadelphia. This question comes from Jeff, and he wants to know how it's possible that I am able to break away from my show and see so many different haunted houses around the country. Well, kind of just to add a little sugar to the last question, if you're going to try to understand where this industry is going, you've got to see other attractions. It's my opinion, and I've been to a lot of cities, that if you go to like a certain city, a lot of the haunted houses in that city seem to be, a lot the same in a lot of different ways. But when you go to another city, it's like a whole other world of haunting. You can't believe it. You come away from seeing haunted houses from other areas of the country, and you just are filled with enthusiasm and new ideas. So this is very, very important if you want to stay ahead of the competition in your city. So how do I do it? Well, I pick a day like a Wednesday or a Thursday when I know that most of the haunted houses in an area will definitely be open. And if you can't break away from your haunted house when you're only doing 400 or 500 people on a Thursday night, then when are you ever going to be able to break away? You've got to have people at your attraction you trust to run it. And what you do is I try to plan ahead. I call and try to let them know that I'm coming. And usually you'll find haunters are more than willing to give you the behind-the-scenes tour. They're so flattered that you're flying in from another city to see their attraction. You'll learn more than you could ever imagine by seeing attractions. And check out the Fright Times articles that I've written, and I've World in Fright Part 1 and then World in Fright Part 2, and you'll see and hear about a lot of great attractions. Fangoria magazine has done stories on a lot of great attractions you can visit, and obviously you can get on Hauntworld and find a lot of haunted houses to visit. But one thing is very important: make sure you're at the first attraction when the door opens. Get right through it, see what you got to see, and move on to the next one. I've been able to hit 5 or 6 in one night with this strategy. One thing I do advise you to do is bring a pen and bring a pad of paper and take a lot of notes. It's very important. Our next question comes from Canada. Roger Fiddick, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. He wants to know how he might be able to learn more about making animatronics. Well, that's a hard question to answer. Animatronics, can range everything from things you see at Disneyland all the way to a simple pop-up. And a couple of things I'll suggest is start by trying to buy videos. I know Denny Dam and Morris Kashim saw a lot of videos. Matter of fact, Denny Dam of Terabyte Design, he sells videos on the Crank Ghost and things like this, even though that may or may not be considered an animatronic. But what I will suggest is that you start very small. Get an air piston and the different components that you would need just to make a simple pop-up. And that's basically how we learn. We start with the simplest things and move on from there. So I hope that helps you to some degree. But one thing I definitely would suggest is that when you go to the Halloween shows and things like this, you ask a lot of questions of people that know something about it. And that's how you just learn. And that's what we did, and we just learned as we went along. So I hope that helps you in some way. Okay, our next question comes from Brian in Boston, and he wants to know, how do you get farther ahead in this industry? How do you learn the most in the shortest period of time without hiring a haunted consultant, which there are many of those out there? Well, my first and best suggestion is to buy videos. I would buy every single video that you can get your hands on. The funny thing is, and I've never been able to understand this, we've made videos, other people have made videos, and I hear people complain that, I only got 1 or 2 ideas off the video, I didn't like the rest of the video, whatever, it didn't show me how to make this, or didn't show me how to make that. Well, look at it this way. If you spend $30 on a video, such as the one you're watching right now, if you bought one mask, that you really liked, you're going to pay anywhere from $30 to, who knows, $250 to $350. That one mask is not going to help your haunted house get any better. One mask is not going to help anything. One prop, one leg, anything that costs $30 doesn't mean 5 cents to making your attraction better. It's the knowledge you have in your head. It's the knowledge that you can get from other people. And even if you spend $100 and only get one idea, it's worth it. I suggest you buy every single book, good or bad. Don't worry about what other people say. Is that video any good? Is that book any good? You buy everything. If you go to one seminar, there's companies that put on seminars, they charge a company $5,000 a person to sit there for, 6 or 7 sessions to learn about something. You can buy material in this industry for $30, $19, $15. People sell books on actors and maze design. There's all kinds of books and reading material and videos. Don't worry about what anybody says to you about this video not being good or that video not being good. This is the cheapest way for you to learn as much as possible. Pick people's brains by watching the information that they put out there. Another way I would suggest that you get farther along in this industry is to, we got the Halloween, Transworld puts on an awesome seminar. Yeah, and some of the seminars, people have not liked the seminar, or, I paid $300. You hear all these complaints that, because they didn't like one particular person or, whatever, they thought it was too infomercial type thing for them. Think about it. You spend $300. If you come away with, just one idea that works for you, that one idea that you paid $300 for couldn't even buy you a prop to put in your haunted house. Think about it. Another way for you is just to meet other haunted houses. owners or whatever, get on the internet. That's one of the fastest ways for you to learn from other people, is to get on the internet, get on the mailing list. We got the Halloween mailing list. We've got the Hauntworld mailing list. We've got websites you can go to. There's all kinds of great ways to learn. And I'll tell you, 5 years ago, Jim and I, we used to make the haunted houses. We used to have to work on it all year long. We didn't even know about the Halloween show. Okay, we made everything from scratch. Every mask, everything was made by us. We didn't buy costumes for anybody. We went to the rummage sales and things like this to find everything. That's how everything was done. This Transworld Halloween show and these seminars and the internet and videos and books and buying something as simple as a plane ticket to go to another city and see another haunted house. The information that we now know compared to what we knew 5 years ago is just like stratospheres. It's like from one day not having an airplane, getting around on a horse and buggy, to all of a sudden, jumping all the way to the space shuttle or going to the moon. That's how much information we've learned in this short period of time by doing just what I just said. One other thing I'd like to add to that, Brian, is, we know about the Transworld Halloween show. We know that IAPA is a very big show that you should attend, because you can learn just a whole lot of information there. And you can get on Hauntworld in the Yellow Pages. We have a list of shows. We now have the events page. And on the events page, you'd find things like, say, Fango Magazine's shows. They put on shows, the Chiller Theater. Now, why are these shows important? Because it's not really specifically about the haunted house industry, because it's horror. You can learn all kinds of things from people who don't even like houses. They like horror movies. You could get all kinds of ideas. You can see things and meet people and even celebrities. And I recently went to the Fangoria show, and we're going to go out to Rich Hamp's Horror Cafe, and he's going to give us a report on 1999's Fango show in New York City.
Hey, here we are at the Fangoria Horror Show. Rich Hamp here for the Rich Hamp Horror Cafe and Hauntworld, hauntworld.com. And I'm standing here with, and you have to catch this, Larry keeps going by and says, look, it's Andy Kaufman, it's Andy Kaufman. That'd be a hell of a trick. As we know, Andy Kaufman is dead. However, Lloyd Kaufman, who runs Trauma Pictures, is very much alive and here with us. Lloyd, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been spending most of my time on haunting.com. When I'm in Tromaville, haunting.com. That's where I go.
Now, I seem to remember a Tromaville up in Massachusetts at a place called Spooky World.
Indeed.
How did it end up there?
Well, Spooky World is the greatest place other than the haunting.com website. And David Bordolino, I believe his name is a buddy of mine, hopefully I pronounced it correctly.
You did.
He is one of the great aficionados of cult movies, and the Toxic Avenger and he are good buddies. And we did a contest with Fangoria in which the winner got to be in a trauma movie. And we filmed the winner of the Fangoria Trauma Contest at Spooky World, and the movie that scene was in was Romeo and Juliet. And David Bordolino is in Romeo and Juliet.
I was going to say there was an ugly rumor going around to that effect.
And he's terrific. David Bordolino is an amazing... I think I had the honor of being in the scene myself. Other than Maniac Nurses and Find Ecstasy and Blood-Sucking Freaks and The Last Temptation of Toxie and The Good, the Badness of Humanoid, I would say that David's scene is the best thing that Troma's ever done.
Now, it's been said that you have never lost money making your kind of movies. Is this true?
Well, that may have been said, but it wasn't by me. But in any event, Troma makes movies like Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, or we've just done a new film called Terror Firmer. And I would like to announce right now on haunting.com that Troma is going to be bringing you the new Dario Argento film. It's going to have its world premiere here at Fangoria, or on your website. But tonight at Fangoria, Stendhal Syndrome, the Stendhal Syndrome, which I believe is Dario's best film to date. Troma has the honor of being the United States distributor of that film, and it is a masterpiece, much too good for Troma, if I may say so myself. I, on the other hand, have directed a much less fine film called Terror Firmer, based on my book, All I Need to Know About Filmmaking, I learned from haunting.com. No, I learned from the Toxic Avenger.
You mentioned Spooky World. Are you familiar with any other haunted attractions? As you may know, the haunted industry is a big one all across the country.
Well, again, I'm an old guy. I've been making movies for 30 years, so I usually go on Hauntworld.com when I'm interested in that sort of world.
That's understandable.
But Hauntworld.com, now there's a place in Salt Lake City that is absolutely spectacular. I cannot remember the name, but it's a haunted house, and it's really good. The Tower Cinema in Salt Lake City did a retrospective of Troma, and I had the pleasure of going into. I honestly don't recall, but I bet if you look on Hauntworld.com, you'll find this place.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Salt Lake City, it's really good, and there's a Spooky World, of course, in Berlin, Massachusetts,
right.
And Berlin, Germany is pretty spooky, if you ask me.
Well, for any young haunters out there that would maybe want to get into the film business or maybe even be a star in one of your movies, how does someone go about doing that?
Well, in terms of making movies, my book, All I Need to Know About Filmmaking, I learned from the Toxic Avenger, published by Penguin Pup. The purpose of that book, the reason I wrote it, was to reach out to young people who want to make movies and who may not want to work for one of those devil-worshipping conglomerates that control the hearts and minds of the little people of Tromaville.
Absolutely.
Read my book. The other interesting thing is, I think, to thine own self be true. Shakespeare said it all. To thine own self be true. If you, at Hauntworld.com, if you guys want to make movies, you have to do what's in your heart. You know, don't take yourselves too seriously, but take your work very seriously, the way Troma does. Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High, Good the Badness of Humanoid.
I agree with that. But you're right about to thy own self be true. That's kind of what all us haunted house guys do. We set up. Most haunted houses aren't year-round events, so we wait till September. We set up things and just try to scare the daylights out of people. I know there are events that, in fact, I did something at a place called the Haunted Castle back in the early 90s, and you guys were good enough to send us some video just so we could run it and entertain the people. And are you interested at all in maybe promoting your product at different haunted houses? Can haunters get in touch with you and maybe set up Troma displays, something like that?
Well, again, Troma is very interactive. Troma has been in touch with its fans from the beginning, and it's thanks to our fans that Troma has gone into comic books. Our fans were the ones who suggested us to do comic books. And since I had written some scripts with Stan Lee, I talked to him about it, and he did Toxic Avenger, and now we do our own comic books. Our fans told us to start a website. We were one of the first movie studios to start a website. Our fans told us to go to DVD. We now have 20 DVDs out, and we do interactive DVDs where you can see a tour of Tromaville. We should do something on Haunted.com or how to create a haunted house, because on DVD you get 4.5 hours of room, so you don't just get a movie, you get extras.
Well, that's something to think about.
So let's do that.
Why don't we do that? You should. So it right here live. We'll make a movie. How to do a haunted house with Troma.
The simple way. You can make your own haunted house through Haunted.com, and maybe I will help you make it. You don't have to give me credit.
Our privilege.
I will do it for art. This is not about money. You don't make movies about money. You don't make movies to make money.
You do stuff because you love it. If you do it well, the money will follow.
Well, that may be for you, baby, not for me. I'm 53 years old, and I
can't complain.
The main thing is that in all honesty, there are a few people who make a lot of money, and the rest you have to do it for love. And the fact that Hollywood worships the spending of money, the fact that Sharon Stone has to wear a $250,000 ring on her finger or whatever, and that's what the media claims is glamorous, is disgusting. What these guys do is important, it's interesting, and it's art, and it doesn't cost money. It comes from the heart. That's what it's all about.
There were some haunters out there, some haunted house people that were interested in getting in touch with you to promote the product, setting up something at their attraction. How could they get in touch with you?
Well, Troma has an excellent website. We get 350,000 visitors, not hits, but visitors a month. Millions of hits. I think it would be very good for haunted houses to contact us. We could do cross promotions. We can promote on our websites. We put out video cassettes, Troma video cassettes. We put one a month. We can publicize haunted houses. And maybe the haunted houses can sell Troma merchandise and
no question,
or promote the Troma crusade for true independence in the cinema and in art. So I think any haunted house that wants to reach us, go to www.troma.com. You can call. You can send me an email, Lloyd at AOL at www.troma.com. You can call us at 1-800-83-TROMA. You can call us at 1-800-TROMA-14. You can call us at 1-800-33-TROMA.
And you know how haunted house guys love those 800 numbers.
Thanks to Hauntworld.com.
Hauntworld.com.
For supporting Trauma. Hauntworld.com has been supporting Trauma, and we are very grateful because we are grassroots.
Okay, everybody stay tight. We're still hanging out here at the Fango show in New York. And look who I ran into. I was just walking around minding my own business. And lo and behold, we have Edward Gannon and John, Professor Nightmare Denley, hanging out here at the Fango show. What do you think? How do you like it?
I'm having a great time. It's a super experience and a wonderful possibility for me to be seen in public with Ed, and that we can get our romantic feelings towards one another off my chest.
Likewise, Rich Ham.
Yes.
Rumor has it that you guys were on the guest list. You got in for free, and that's really why you're here.
That helped. No comment. It makes up for the $26 parking garage.
Yeah. And the subscription that we've been paying for 20 years, right? Still trying to get a free copy of this magazine.
Hey, Tony. Everybody smell. I am, aren't I?
All right. What'd you get here today? You're always in the market for something.
Yeah. Well.
Other than that, what did you get today?
I'm big into the collectible toys and some interesting videos that you can't get anywhere else. So there's no end of that here. And as far as the toys go, they had some really great prices on a lot of collectible toys that are very hard to find. Some exclusives from, say, Toys R Us. Such as the Dracula exclusive.
You don't have to show us. You don't have to show us.
Such as this limited edition Dracula figure, only available at your local Toys R Us. Sold out in the span of 1 week.
1 week.
1 week, awesome. With the additional bat, which makes the whole value right there, because if it didn't have the bat, it wouldn't be worth anything.
Yes, with display stand and bat.
Right.
A truly wonderful purchase.
Good find.
Yeah. Now, as for you.
As for me,
what's new with you?
What's new with me?
Mr. Bela Lugosi, Mr. Boris Karloff.
What I've been doing is coming here checking out grotesque and bogus movies and things like this. So I tried to find the nittiest, grittiest, bloodiest movies that even Blockbuster won't carry. So I've loaded my shopping bag with that, and I just bought an original quote movie prop of one of the little Audrey plants from Little Shop of Horrors with a free shoebox thrown in, and Tony Timpone gave me a free shoebox. So
we saw the Dr. Scholl's label on it, so we know that's authentic.
So I feel privileged.
Awesome.
I really do.
Why don't you tell us a little about your latest attraction up in Salem?
The latest attraction is Boris Karloff's Witch Mansion in 3D. Yes, 3D. That'll screw up your autofocus. And basically, this is you walk through the cover of a giant book, and each scene in the haunted attraction is a different chapter.
Wow, sounds great.
2 deep, huh?
3 deep, actually. Now wait, Salem, isn't that the town where Leonard Pickle opened up Mayhem Manor 2?
I was unaware of that.
Well, apparently you're not alone.
I was unaware of that.
Ed, now,
Sorry,
and of course, you guys, Ed, Spooky World Gannon, recovering from a devastating year. How are things going up at Spooky World?
I'd just like to say no comment, but no.
Not well.
In actuality, a lot of things are in the works. We've got some exciting things coming up.
And you can read all about it in my interview in Fright Times Magazine, owned by him. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rich has all the poop on that. But
Leonard who?
I have no idea. But all of that is coming out in the article that you did with Dave Berlin of the Art Spooky World.
Right.
And beyond that, there's some things in the works, but none of that has been, as of, what is it now, almost February, none of that has been
officially
finalized at all.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different ways we can go. We have our court date coming up in early June, but it could possibly be settled earlier, and a lot of that will determine whether we stay in Berlin or actually move out of town.
So we may have some information by, let's say, Chicago time?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we'll look for an update on that. Tell us about your hearse.
Ah, yes.
Nothing like a hearse.
Nothing like a hearse.
And I have a hearse story. A hearse once saved my life, but that's a different story for a different time.
Well, I recently in the past year purchased a 1964 Cadillac hearse. It's in close to pristine condition, and I'm in the process of restoring it even further. And it's my pride and joy, which I'm very happy about.
And where do you keep it?
It's at Spooky World, but there's lots of alarms there. So, but it's there right now, and in between when it's not getting restored in the garages that I take it to.
Okay, now how do you like the Fango show?
Fango show is pretty interesting this year. It's really compact.
Wait,
So,
what do you mean this year?
well, I come to it. I guess how long have we come to these things? Like
forever.
Yeah, so really, really long time. And they used to be a lot larger, but now they're more compact. That's a nice way of saying that they're not as grandiose as they used to be. But
they're still quality packed.
Oh yeah, they're still quality packed. There's lots of really hard to find videos and
celebrity guests.
Celebrity guests.
Right, this large line behind us is for George Romero.
Huge. I mean, there are celebrity guests here that you can't find really anywhere else.
True.
So that's really cool, and it's of course in the heart of New York City, so that has its own ambiance. And then there's lots of other collectibles besides the movies themselves, like posters, memorabilia, stuff like that. Like John got the auction, which I'm happy to see is returned to Fango, the auctions.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that really makes it worth coming here.
Well, while you chase after that bum that just stole your Dracula, let me talk to John for a minute. Talk about auctions. I remember an auction at a Fango show many years ago.
I can tell you who was there and how much was paid out for things.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
Dave Bertolino bought Rosebud
exactly
from the movie Effects
exactly
for $600 or $700. He also bought the Friday the 13th Little Demon Creature for $375.
Right. And during that auction, I remember sitting next to you as you did what? Do you remember? Through the entire auction, John sat there and yelled out, "Sausage!"
Yes, I did do that. But I will go on record saying that it was America's horror theme sausage.
All right. How do you like the show? You having a good time?
I'm having a great time.
You met any celebrities? Got any autographs from the museum?
Larry Kirshner, his girl, met Rich Ham. There you go. I mean, how can I go wrong, we did bump into, and I feel ashamed, but I can't remember his name, the guy from Wishmaster.
Yeah, that's all right. I didn't know his name either. Larry said, hey, that's the guy from Wishmaster.
But he was cool.
And we just saw Lloyd Kaufman from Trauma Pictures, and Larry keeps going by, look, it's Andy Kaufman.
And the world's only Romanian bartenders as well.
Hey, listen, I guess that's it for now. We got some things to buy and celebrities to meet, autographs to get. We'll be back in a little bit with more exciting interviews here for Hauntworld.com, Rich Amp Horror Cafe, coming at you. Okay, we're wrapping up things here at the Fangoria show in New York, and we're here with Mr. Fangoria, Tony Timpone. How you doing, Tony?
Okay, Rich. Thanks for coming down.
Oh, thanks for having us, man. Hey, what were your impressions of the show this weekend?
I think this is one of the best Fango shows we've done in a couple of years. I was really impressed with our guests. Everybody seemed to be having a good time. We got the crowds here. Everything worked. The dealer's room was sold out. People were buying stuff. People were meeting all the horror heroes and really enjoying the whole flow of the show. It really was a fun experience for me.
Right. You've kind of become an overnight aficionado on the haunted house business. You've traveled around the country. You're writing a book on haunted attractions. Why don't you give us a little of your impressions on some of your favorite attractions throughout the country? Tell us a little about your book and maybe where you think the haunted industry is going.
Well, it seems like the haunted house industry is definitely going more high-tech, but at the same time, based on my tour last year, they seem to be pulling back and going for more old-fashioned type scares, away from the animatronic stuff.
That's my personal favorite, by the way.
Yeah, and they get more into just showing their actors how to scare people, the old-fashioned, simple ways, and that seems to be what's really working better than, say, a 9-foot-tall dragon.
Animatronic.
Yeah.
Well, I agree, because as cool as that large animatronic is, you're spending $15,000 on this tremendous piece, and people come through and they look at it and they go, wow, look at that. And then they move on.
Right.
But there's nothing that can take the place of a guy in a great prosthetic piece of makeup, and he jumps out and he scares you, and you bang into your friends and everyone falls on the ground, and that's why people go to haunted attractions, in my opinion.
I think you're right. And I also like the showmanship. I think that's really important at the shows, and that's something I think Larry Kirshner does at Dr. Haunted Theme Park, is it's a real total experience. It's not just a few people in grease paint going boo.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of everything. You have the animatronic animatronics. You have the great warm-up before they go through the house. You have the golf course. You have the horror museum. You got a little bit of everything to really give people their money's worth. And that's what would always impress me about that. And there's also, I think it's important when they theme them out. I think Larry does that. Brutal Planet, I think, is working. Top speed these days. When I was there again for my third year in a row, I was really impressed how well themed out that was. I think some of the hay rides have gotten better too. I was at Spooky World in October of '98, and the hay ride was a lot of fun. It was Disney World style showmanship there. Interactive, yeah. I think because that used to be my least favorite part of haunted houses with the hay rides. I always thought they were kind of hokey, but even those seem to be getting on and entering a new level where there's more theatricality going on. Same thing with the Spooky World in Minnesota. They put more of an acting thing together with little vignettes and stuff, and I thought that was kind of fun.
It is tough to scare someone in a hayride situation. If I have you in a haunted house, I can pretty much steer you to wherever I want you. And if that painting drops or a door opens or something falls, I can pretty much put you where I want you. But a wide open space like a hayride, it becomes a lot more difficult to scare you. And some of the things I've used are scares that come down from above you. The wagon stops, and a guide has a flashlight, and he's looking, oh, look, there are the tree dwellers, and you follow something around, there's a body hanging from the tree, boom, all of a sudden the body falls on you when people on the wagon go. Right. Or the wagon stops and like a slime character or something actually gets on the wagon, and people go, scurrying in different directions. But an outdoor situation is a lot tougher to scare someone in than an indoor one.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why I think it's important to make the hayride almost not necessarily a scary experience, but more of a fun. That's why I think the animatronics are more effective, maybe on the hayride, because it's more of a a sense of wonder, kind of, gosh, look at that kind of thing.
It is more of a fun situation.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
I think that's where they should concentrate their efforts in terms of that stuff on the hayride, and just putting on little vignettes and shows and really thinking it out, trying to get some more, explosion type effects and wild lighting and stuff. And that's why I think Spooky World in Boston did well this year in Berlin, and I'd like to see more of that in the future.
Something that they used to do up there that I liked a lot. They had Tromaville, and I know we spoke to Lloyd Kaufman earlier in the day, and they had Tromaville there, and they had a giant billboard, and as the wagon went by, the whole billboard tipped down, and that was always a good scare.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it's kind of a from above type thing, so it's definitely the principle that works.
Yeah, I think it's also a good one that the haunted houses really give the people their money's worth by having celebrities make guest appearances. It's like, added bang for your buck. I think that always works well.
Well, you've been doing celebrities for 20 years, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's been fun going on the haunted house tour, visiting them up, writing about them in Fangoria.
Who are some of your favorite celebrities? Let me put you on the spot. Who are some of your favorites?
Well, it was always a dream come true when I met Vincent Price. That was great.
Oh, goodness.
And a lot of the people we've been having at the Fango shows over the years, directors like George Romero,
met him yesterday.
Yeah, and also Carpenter was great, and just about everybody I ever wanted to meet I've met at a Fango show or through the magazine. So those, Vincent Price was a definite highlight. Having Jack Nicholson at a Fangoria convention, I never expected it.
That was in California, wasn't it?
That you'd ever have Jack Nicholson on a Fangoria stage, but we had him. Gene Simmons, he was here yesterday of Kiss, and it was like a dream come true to have this guy that we were all into as kids in the 70s.
Sure, everyone grew up with Kiss, yeah.
So we're trying to bring the Fango shows to a new level, just like the haunted house business is trying to find new avenues to keep people coming back. That's what I have to do, is putting together these conventions, is to find new ways to get people in here.
Tell me your top 3 haunted attractions and why.
My top 3 haunted attractions.
I know that's tough. There's a lot of them out there that are great.
Doctor's Haunted Theme Park. That's just such a full experience.
Larry, you are so lucky. You are so lucky. Go ahead.
Brutal Planet. That was great in Denver. That was the first modern haunted house that I went to that I really got into. I really enjoyed that.
What did you like about it so much?
Brutal Planet, because I think the theme worked. The science fiction thing, the aliens, and it was scary. The sound effects, the strobing, and the lighting, and everything just made a real total experience.
The Distortions has always been an industry leader.
Yeah, I always liked that one. And let's see, third, I would have to go with the granddaddy of them all, Spooky World in Massachusetts. I think that's it's a great family atmosphere.
Yeah, I don't think there's any haunter out there that Spooky World hasn't influenced one way or another.
Spooky World has influenced everybody. I think I want to see Spooky World even take it to new levels, because that really can be the Disney World of haunted theme parks, and I bet that's what they have plans for the future.
Well, I hope so. I think they have to reopen first, but I know Dave's not one to be counted out, so we all have great hopes for that.
He's the trendsetter, and those three, and I would say those are the ones I've gone back repeatedly to see, but there's more I want to go to.
All right. We've seen some more industry experts. Now, let's go out to Atlanta, Georgia, where last year Dr. Frightener had the privilege of experiencing the Netherworld. Billy Messina and Ben Armstrong have a lot of creativity to share with you.
Hello, my name is Ben Armstrong.
And I'm Billy Messina.
We're from Netherworld Haunted House. We think detail is very important in a haunted house because it really sets the mood. It sets people up to scare. Also, while they're watching all these elaborate props and things, they never know exactly what it is that's going to come popping out.
It also gives people a real sense of value. When they walk through, they're not just dependent upon a scare, because, as you know, you could have the greatest haunted house on the earth with tons of scares, but not necessarily every person is going to get a scare at every point. So if you give them detail and there's something to look at, they have a good sense of value and they feel like they were entertained and their money was well spent.
Our philosophy in scaring people is to hit them in every single way possible. We do things that slowly creep them out. We do sudden shocks, things from above, things from below, air blasts, excellent actors, special effects. Anything we can do, we try and vary it and to set the pace to where we're doing a lot of different things.
Surprise, misdirection, and anticipation are really important in scaring people. If you build an environment where people, before they even get into the house, they're already nervous, and then you hit them with a blast where they're not suspecting, or come out from a direction where they're totally not anticipating, that's a good method of scaring people.
Netherworld is different from a lot of haunted houses. We're very fortunate to have a number of people working with us who are professional special effects people. So we have the ability to create custom creatures that people have never seen before, will probably never see again. We're very lucky in this, and we think it's important because people are getting more and more savvy to Halloween. They can go to a Halloween Express or Spencer's and see all the same props. They kind of feel disappointed. They want to see something new, something weird, something strange.
That's part of the thing that we do at Netherworld is we have new stuff every year. Again, it's different props, different stuff you're not going to see in your average Halloween shop. But additionally, when people come to Netherworld, they're going to see a different show pretty much every year. We'll recycle a lot of the props, but we change them around. We put them in different environments. We just kind of recycle it. We want it to be so people will come back and say, what are these guys going to do this year? So we just mix it up, keep people guessing what we're going to do next.
In marketing, one of the most important things we do is want to develop a compelling theme, a reason, a content, a story that will be very interesting. And then we choose a lot of different media. We choose radio, television, newspapers, all sorts of different things.
Yeah, frequency is real important. We not only are on radio, we're also on TV, we're on billboards. Basically hit people from all directions. People need to see an ad or hear a name several times before it clicks, and they say, oh yeah, that's right. There are a lot of haunted houses out there, and if they just hear generic haunted house, they're not going to know whether it's your ad or the guy next door's ad. So you need to keep hitting people with a defined message, Netherworld, or whatever your haunt may be, so they say, oh yeah, that's the one we need to go to. Give them a quality show so you get word of mouth, and people will just keep coming back.
A lot of haunted houses use characters that people are familiar with. This is good because people like to see things they're familiar with, but we think it's more interesting since we're able to create the custom props. We like to come up with things that are new. This is just our choice. It doesn't mean that what other people are doing is necessarily wrong, just that we think that it's more interesting. It's also interesting for us to just create these things and to come up with the new stuff because it's fun.
There really is no right or wrong when doing a haunted house. Everybody's different. It's just in the quality that you give to people. We choose to make custom creatures and props and whatnot because we do have that ability. It's a creative event for us throughout the whole year. A lot of us are filmmakers. We work on motion pictures and whatnot as special effects artists. And obviously, as much as we'd like to be Atlanta is not Hollywood South. So this gives us an opportunity to really break out our creative forces and make cool stuff all year long. But yeah, we choose to go that route just because we're able to do it, but it doesn't mean that, you know, if you have a Freddy Krueger or a Pinhead in your house, that it's a bad thing. We just like to go this route.
We hope you enjoy your adventure into Netherworld and seeing some of our stuff, and we hope we can help you in some way. And we're very anxious to see your haunted house as well.
Yeah, we hope that the information that we've given you can help some way, and just keep plugging away and scare people. And that was...
You have a special guest?
Yeah, my boyfriend's arrived.
Oh, well, I know, but, you know, you're going to have to wait to take Kathy away, all right? Sorry.
Yeah,
No, he can't wait. I'm sorry.
Well, force yourself.
Kathy's boyfriend here is just one of the many creatures that you'll see here at Netherworld. You know, this isn't your typical haunted house.
No.
He's about to give you a kiss, huh?
Oh, that's okay. No. Not on the first
Later.
date. Never on the first date. There are all kinds of wonderful things here that you don't normally see. It's more Hollywood than anything.
Sure is. Here's a sneak peek at Netherworld.
It's more than a haunted house. It's a place where you're surrounded by terror. It's called Netherworld, and it's the brainchild of Netherworld Haunted Creations and White Wolf Games. It'll make your skin crawl. The special effects and digital audio will fright and delight. And creatures from the beyond hide, waiting for their victims. As scary as they may be, the creatures are constructed and operated by a group of talented individuals who have a background in film and television. And the terror isn't always monstrous in size. Sometimes it's the creepy, crawly kind. Ooh.
We want to entertain people, and we want people to have fun, and you're going to get scared. I pick a lot of people up off the floor every night, you know. It's good, clean fun, you know. There's nothing that's, you know, real graphic. There's no blood and gore or anything, but it's very scary. It's very macabre.
Expect more than the usual assortment of zombies and ghouls. Be prepared for future shock. Once you leave the world of monsters, you descend into the high-tech Vault 13, a world of genetic mutants, warrior cyborgs, and other weird creatures from the Earth's inner core. They roam the halls looking to terrorize those who wander into the vaults. So be brave and try this haunting experience. When you leave this world of terror, you may never be the same again. If you do leave.
Netherworld Haunted House. Experience raw terror at Atlanta's ultimate Halloween event.
First, immerse yourself in gothic horror in
Vampire the Masquerade. Then descend to a secret base deep within the earth. Vault 13. Take I-85 to exit 37, Jimmy Carter Boulevard, located on the Access Road in the Georgia Antique Center. Huge savage monsters. The elevator of death. 1 million volts of pure terror. Netherworld Haunted House, where monsters dwell.
Maybe you can help me decide what I'm going to eat. Let's see. Fried toadstools, maybe. How about fried scully flour? How about slash browns? I'll tell you what. Before I order what I want to eat, let's check in with Dr. Lady at the Horror Hotel in Chatfield, Ohio. He's got a segment. He's going to show you how he makes the most awesome static figures. Take it away, Dr. Lady.
Ladies and women, boys and girls, burly tobacco-chewing grannies and left-handed zebras, welcome to the Horror Hotel portion of the program. I'm Dr. Lady, prevaricator, proprietor of Horror Hotel, and you, lucky wallabies, are watching Dr. Frightener's presentation of Hauntworld Part 2. Now, please stay tuned, because in just a moment we're going to be sharing with you a little insight into one of the many creatively creepy processes we undertake here each fall in putting on Horror Hotel. But first, before we do that, I'd like to invite you to take a brief look at some recent Horror Hotel highlights.
And screams.
I didn't mean that brief. Here, look again.
Come to Horror Hotel, the hotel that stands on the portal between this world and the beyond, where we cater to all the ghosts and monsters that walk the earth each Halloween season. Oh, dear me. I see our on-duty mad doctor has his hands full tonight. After he finishes giving Pinhead his nightly acupuncture treatment, he has other patients already waiting for medical attention. Oh, poor Edward Scissorhands snapped a blade trying to open a child-proof aspirin bottle. And I see Jason and Michael have each had another of their unfortunate accidents.
Okay, we're back. Now, that's enough Horror Hotel footage for right now because we don't want to show you too much because then you'll never come and see it for yourself. So now, we're going to take a quick look at a way to help you in putting on your own haunted attraction by giving you some tips on how we do one of the aspects of Horror Hotel. And for tonight's subject matter, we're just going to take a random letter from a fan. So, Laura, if you would come in with the mailbag and just, okay, I'll clear space here. Dump them out on the table right here, and we'll just choose a letter at random. This one seems to be as good as any. All right. Ah, American, my favorite. Dear Dr. Lady, I know that many of the life-size monster figures in your Horror Hotel Museum can be bought, but I understand that many of them were made by you folks right there on the premises. What is a good way to create quick and easy, inexpensive, life-size monster figures? Yours, what did I say? Yours truly, yours truly, Fred Strubachin Koskow, owner and manager, the Haunted Car Wash and Podiatrist's Office, King of Prussia. Well, King, that's a good question. A lot of people have a hard time coming up with enough monsters to populate their attractions, and even if you use mostly live actors, which we don't, even if you use mostly live actors, you're still going to have some places here and there where you're going to want some just stationary, life-size monster figures standing in your scenes. So, let's take a look around Horror Hotel and find some good ways to come up with life-size monsters.
My favorite method for having wonderful life-size creatures at Horror Hotel is to just buy them. You can't make something that's going to look like this. So go ahead, shell out the few measly thousands of dollars it's going to cost.
Well, thank you, Laura, but I don't think that's going to be very helpful for everybody since not everyone has that much money to spend or cares to spend that much money on every single monster figure in their haunt. Another good way to go is to simply use, as we did in the case of our Boris Karloff figure up here, simply use old store mannequins. Now you can check your local department stores and shopping malls, clothing stores. A lot of times they change mannequins and they get rid of old ones, and if you get really lucky you might get a whole bunch of them from a store that's maybe gone out of business, particularly in the shopping malls. This happens frequently. And just use mannequins, and all you need to do, of course, is put a suit and a wig, hands, whatever, mask, fix it up, you're set. You know what I'm saying? You're done. You're ready. You got a monster. But, and here's the big but, that doesn't always work because a lot of mannequins tend to be small and skinny and often in really strange, wanky, high-fashion poses, which if people really posed like that in real life, they would have to get chiropractic care immediately. So you can't always use mannequins for everything, especially if you want big monsters. And in that case, that's when you need to make your own. There are a number of ways you can do that. You can start with wood dowels, 2x4s, things like that as an armature. But I recommend PVC. You know what PVC is? Now, a lot of people think that means polyvinyl chloride, but I think it means plastic, very cheap. PVC pipe can be found at your local hardware store or someone else's local hardware store, or plumbing supply or electrical store. It comes in various widths, like this is your 1 inch. You got your 1/2 inch. You can get your 2 inch. You can get your 1 inch that's slightly longer than the piece I had a minute ago. You can get your 4 or 5 inch. You can get these even wider, so they're so wide that they're like coffee can width. You can get any size. They're extremely durable, extremely long-lasting. They don't decompose or rot or melt or anything like that. And they're very cheap, as I had mentioned, is one of my favorite things about them. A 10-foot length of this stuff runs maybe $3 to $5, okay? If you want the really wide widths, the big size, that's going to run $8 or $9 for 10 feet. So you got plenty to play around with. And this is an advantage over wood. You don't have to saw through it because you just use your cutters. Yeah, look at this. With these babies, yes sir, you can just very easily snip it right through there wherever you've measured it, whatever length you want. And there you go. See what I'm saying? You do have to be careful with PVC cutters because you could accidentally remove parts of your anatomy that you might need later. So be careful, won't you? And PVC is also easy to put together because you can use these connectors, which are also available at a hardware store near you or someone you know. Now, they come in various sizes and various angles. This one, I guess, well, this here is a 45. This is a 45-degree corner piece, and you might use that for a shoulder or a knee or an elbow to connect two pieces of the same width together thusly. And you'll glue it together with PVC cement, which is very, very durable and very long-lasting and, forms a very permanent bond. So what you want to do is measure everything and pre-fit everything carefully before you glue it together, because otherwise you may have to start all over again. Now let's see some of the other connectors we have here. That was a 45-degree piece. This would be a 90-degree angle, good for shoulders, good for knees, hips, or elbows, depending on the pose of the character. And if that's a 90, I guess this would be a 180 degree piece. And you can also get pieces like this one, which is called a piece like this one, with which you can connect as many as 3 lengths of PVC together. Again, lightweight, cheap, inexpensive, easy to use, easy to work with. What more do you want? Now we'll give you a few more details.
Okay, once you've got your PVC armature, you'll want to cover that with sheet foam rubber, which actually you can get this just about any place. Some places have it in their bedding shops to go on top of your mattress. You can get it at Joann Fabrics. You can get it at upholstery shops. Just wrap it around your PVC. And if you want it to look really nice, you can take this extra pieces and carve out individual muscle chunks and glue those on, or any other parts you want to protrude. But if you want to just do the quick and dirty method, which is what we like to do, just take and wrap it with duct tape. And if you're making an arm, you'll probably wrap it a little tighter in the elbows. You'll wrap it tighter at the wrists. And you'll end up with something that looks a little bit like this. This is the leg. And actually, it works really good. You know, you can wrap it around the waist, around the chest. The whole thing will be covered with foam, and you'll end up with something that's going to look really good.
Okay, kids, and remember this PVC armature method of monster building, which, by the way, is about as close to anything resembling bodybuilding as you're ever likely to see me attempting. This method works very well with characters who have humanoid shapes, such as vampires, zombies, ghouls, mummies, things like that. But it also works just as well, maybe even better, with big, distorted, misshapen, freakish monsters like my little pal here. Now this guy, obviously, you're not likely to find a mannequin that you could use to build an 8-foot-tall werewolf. So he's made entirely out of the PVC armature method, and then because he had to have a lot of bulk, he's very big on top, We actually covered that with the framework of chicken wire. Not that hard, not as tough as it sounds, doesn't really take all that much financial investment or anything to pick up a bit of chicken wire and wrap him up. Then we wrap the foam over that. Then we just covered the whole thing with sheets of nice, long, gray, fluffy fur so that he would be nice and dusty and get hair all over my clothing. So, anyway, I hope this has been helpful, and I hope this will encourage some of my fellow creeps out there to try the monster building for yourselves method in your next Halloween project. And with that, I think I'll just turn you over once again to Dr. Frightener.
I hope you found that segment insightful. In case you are wondering, I decided on hamburger and fried flies.
Okay, I want to thank everybody out there for joining us for Hauntworld The Movie Part 2. And I want to let you know that Part 3 is already done. We have segments from, another segment from John Burton and Dr. Lady and Castle Blood, John Denley. We have tours through all kinds of haunted houses like the all-new Skull Kingdom, Dr. Blood's Screamscapes, Boris Karloff's Witch Dungeon in 3D, Terror Visions in 3D. We're going to show you the all-new scenes in the darkness in St. Louis and much, much more. I also want to remind you to check out Hauntworld.com, get in touch with other haunters, make sure you get your haunted house listed on the website, as we hope to get 2 or 3 million hits this year, and we want to help you, your haunted house out. I also want to remind you to send in your videos, your suggestions for Hauntworld the Movie Part 4. Obviously, this is Part 2, but Part 3 has already been made. And if you didn't get Part 1, you can still get that from us. You can get it from Morse Costumes, Terror by Design, and many other people. Also, want to let you know to make sure that you subscribe to my favorite magazines, Underground Entertainment. That's Jim O'Rear's Underground Entertainment. And you can also check that out on the internet. He's got his own website. And obviously my favorite magazine, Fright Times Magazine. It has some of the best writers in the industry. I also suggest that if you have ideas for articles, that you submit them to Jim O'Rear and Fright Times, John Denley out there. Because they want to know what you want to know. Okay? They want to know what you know. And the same thing on Hauntworld. You get on the message boards and you post and you learn things. And Jim O'Rear and Fright Times, there's also a new magazine called Scares, and we hope that they do real well. These people want to help you. I also suggest that you subscribe to Fangoria magazine, because Fangoria is now covering the haunted house industry, and we should support them in any way we can. So I hope that we've been able to help you here on Hauntworld the Movie Part 2. Before we go, I would like to let you know that we had my cousin Danny. He was the Fright Master on Hauntworld. He actually created the website. He was the inspiration for the website, and we actually are carrying on without him. Unfortunately, he died of a heart attack at only the age of 32. He was running my haunted house, Jim and I's haunted house in Tampa Bay. And it was after the season, and he died of a heart attack, unfortunately, at 32. Everything about Hauntworld comes from Danny, and he really wanted, more than anything, he's not involved in any fighting over the association or anything like this. He wanted to do Hauntworld to help you, to help the industry. And the best way that we could possibly, live his dream of all the haunted houses in the country coming together and helping each other is to support Hauntworld. Get on there, post your haunted houses, use the message boards, and all this. I mean, this website meant everything to Danny, and I just 2 days before he died, we were having a discussion about Hauntworld, and he was excited about the sponsorship program, and he wanted to get this front page thing started on there, because he had like 90 emails in his email. He couldn't update them fast enough. He had so many people that wanted to get on Hauntworld, and he just couldn't do it, and this front page thing was going to help him. Well, right here at the end of the video, we got a little tribute to Danny, the Fright Master Bennett. If you go down Hauntworld, we actually have a tribute to Danny, where you can read what people have said about him. People in this industry cared more about him than I could have ever imagined. He's touched so many people. He's helped so many people create their websites. When we look back 10 years from now at the internet, we see how great the internet presence is for, for haunted houses and Halloween. We'll have to, thank Danny for a lot of that, because he was on the web every single night doing nothing but helping people create their websites for free. He worked on Hauntworld for free. And he's got a lot of great friends out there that really miss him. So we want to go back to Dr. Frightener, and we want to wrap up this video, and we hope that you learned a lot, and we hope you learned a lot from everything you do. From everybody here, happy hauntings.
Don't worry, Larry. Danny's here with us in the next world, and he's saving a place for you and every other haunter out there. He wishes he could be with you, but he will definitely see you all again. Now, we'd like to thank everyone that's participated in Hauntworld The Movie Part 2. We hope that you continue to support the website, as the website is there to support you, the industry. And until next time, which will be Hauntworld The Movie Part 3, we wish you and all of yours happy hauntings.
Welcome, everyone, to the darkness. I'd offer you some booger cookies and vinegar in your would refresh out. But while you're here, why don't you check out the dark caves, the torture rooms, and other things that we have sleeping around. This way! Welcome to the Darkness Haunted House located in Tampa, Florida. Step this way for your worst nightmares.
So there you go. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow Hauntworld on Instagram at Hauntworld. And then you can also follow us on Facebook. We have a huge Facebook community with over 600,000 followers. But make sure you go to hauntworld.com. We put up blogs, we put up how-to videos, and more. And make sure you like and subscribe to our page. And until next time, when we take you through some of the scariest places and the most unique events in the country, we'll see you then.
For scary videos and more, subscribe to our YouTube page, Hauntworld.com.